Did you wake up already feeling tired, as if the night was more of a battle than a rest? It's not just age. Often the reason lies in small habits we don't even think about, habits that quietly steal your strength before you've even had breakfast. Today we'll talk about 7 common causes of morning fatigue and what you can do to bring your energy back. You'll learn simple, practical steps, no magic pills or complicated diets. Just real knowledge that can change your day and in time how you feel. Share this video with someone you care about. You are not alone. You know, one of the first things I mention when someone tells me they wake up groggy or lightheaded is this: let's talk about water. It might sound too simple, almost silly, but believe me, the body does a lot while you sleep. It repairs, balances hormones, detoxifies, and in the process, it loses a surprising amount of water. Mostly through breathing and sweating, even if you don't notice it. By morning, you're already a bit dehydrated, and when you don't replace that fluid, your body feels the cost. Older adults feel it more sharply. Dehydration hits memory, blood pressure, joint comfort, and energy. And if the first thing you grab is coffee or tea, you're asking your system to run on empty. I remember a woman named Grace. She's 72, lives just outside Nashville. She's sharp, still teaches piano lessons twice a week, but she came to me a while back complaining about what she called morning fog. Said she'd wake up dizzy, slow, like she hadn't rested at all. We looked at her sleep, her meds, even blood sugar. Everything was more or less stable. Then I asked, almost offhand, "Do you drink water in the morning?" She blinked. "I have coffee. Does that count?" Not quite. I asked her to try one thing. Keep a glass of water on her nightstand and drink it as soon as she wakes up. Just a glass. Nothing else changed. A week later, she called me and said, "You know, I'm not running marathons, but my head feels clearer. My legs don't feel like cement blocks when I get up." I've had similar talks with men like Ronald, 75, retired firefighter from Ohio. Same issue, same fix. It's amazing how something so basic can do so much when your body's been quietly asking for it all along. What often helps is having that water ready the night before. Put a glass or a small bottle right next to your bed. When you wake up, before you reach for the coffee or shuffle into the kitchen, just sip the water. You don't need to chug it. Take your time. The goal isn't to flood your system, just to wake it up gently. It kickstarts your digestion, your circulation, even your brain function. Your body recognizes that signal. The day has started. It's a small act, but it can have a big ripple effect. Think of it like oiling the gears before starting the machine. You deserve a day that begins with strength, not struggle. So if you try just one thing tomorrow, make it this: one glass of water and a little more kindness to your body. That's all it takes to start something good. Here's another one I often bring up with my older patients, and that's the timing and heaviness of your evening meals. I've seen it too many times. Folks eat a large, heavy dinner right before bed and then wonder why they wake up feeling like they barely slept. The truth is, when you eat late at night, especially heavier meals, like meat with potatoes or fried foods, your body shifts into digestion mode when it should be resting. And as we get older, digestion naturally slows down, so what you could once handle in your 40s or 50s becomes a burden to your system in your 60s and beyond. Instead of focusing on repair, your body is busy breaking down food. That's one of the main reasons you might feel sluggish, bloated, or even a little foggy when you wake up. A man named Robert, 68, from outside Minneapolis, came to see me last fall. He's a retired mechanic, strong hands, plain-spoken guy, used to routines. Said he was waking up exhausted, even though he went to bed by 10 every night. His sleep tracker showed that he was tossing and turning a lot, and he felt heavy. In the mornings, like he was dragging his legs through mud. I asked him to walk me through his evenings. Turns out his dinner was around 8:30, and it usually included a steak, mashed potatoes, sometimes a beer. That had been his routine for years, and he never thought it could be the issue. I suggested he try something different for a week. Have a lighter meal around 6 or 6:30, something like soup with toast or oatmeal with fruit, and save the heavy stuff for lunchtime instead. We spoke again 2 weeks later. He said, "Doc, I didn't realize food timing mattered this much. I fall asleep faster, I don't wake up groggy, and I'm actually hungry when I wake up. in a good way. Another woman, Linda, 71, from Colorado Springs, switched from her usual cheesy pasta dinners to cottage cheese with berries in the evening, and told me her acid reflux improved, along with her sleep. The change doesn't have to be drastic, just more mindful. One of the simplest ways to help your body rest better is to finish dinner at least 3 to 4 hours before you plan to sleep. That gives your stomach time to do its job while you're still awake, so your body can truly rest later. If you feel hungry, before bed, a small snack like a banana, a glass of warm milk, or a few almonds won't interfere with your rest and can even help you sleep better. The key is keeping it light and easy to digest. I like to think of your body at night like a crew working the night shift. If you overload it with heavy work, like digesting a full steak dinner, it has less time and energy to repair muscles, process memories, and reset your systems. Give your body less to clean up, and it can focus on rebuilding. It's a quiet kind of self-care, and you absolutely deserve that kind of rest. Let me tell you about something that comes up more often than you'd think, and that's the habit of watching the news or scrolling through your phone right before bed. I get it. We want to feel connected. We want to know what's going on in the world, or catch up with our families. But what many people don't realize, especially as we get older, is that our brains need a clear signal that it's time to slow down. The light from screens, the fast movement, the information overload, especially if it's upsetting, all keep the brain in a state of alertness, and the older we get, the more sensitive we become to those stimuli. Your body might be lying in bed, but your mind is still trying to process the headlines, the tension, the noise, and that's one big reason why sleep feels broken or not restful. A woman I worked with, Ellen, she's 75 and lives in Santa Rosa, California, came to me with what she called racing thoughts at bedtime. She told me she couldn't fall asleep until well past midnight, sometimes not until 2 a.m., even though she was tired. We looked at her routine, and it turned out that every evening she watched the late news while scrolling through her phone, checking updates, reading comments, watching short videos. She said it helped her relax, but what it really did was keep her nervous system active. I asked her to try something for just 1 week. No screens after 8:30. Instead, she pulled out an old paperback novel she loved in her 30s and read 2 chapters each night. She also added soft instrumental music in the background. After about 5 days, she told me, her mind felt quieter and she fell asleep faster. And for the first time in months, she wasn't waking up multiple times during the night. I've seen the same pattern with others like Thomas, 69, a former trucker from Missouri, who swapped TV time for calling his grandson in the evening. Those calls calmed him, gave him something warm to think about, and his sleep improved more than any supplement ever had. One of the simplest things you can do is create a screen-free zone for the hour before bed. Turn off the TV, put the phone down, and do something that feels gentle, like reading, knitting, listening to soft music, or even just talking to someone. If you live alone, even writing a letter or journaling can help slow the brain down. The goal is to let your mind drift, not race. Think of your brain like a lake. During the day, the surface gets choppy with everything we take in, but in the evening, it needs stillness to settle. You deserve that calm. Your sleep isn't just about rest. It's how your brain heals and stores memory and strengthens. Mood. Give it that gift. It'll thank you in the morning. Here's something I gently bring up with many of my patients, especially those who say they sleep poorly or feel sluggish in the morning. And that's the lack of movement during the day. The human body was made to move, and when we sit too much, especially later in life, it doesn't just affect our muscles or joints. It messes with our internal rhythms. You may have heard of circadian rhythms. They're like your body's natural clock, telling you when to be alert and when to wind down. But if you spend most of the day sitting or lying down, your body starts to confuse daytime with nighttime, and that makes it harder to fall asleep at night or feel fully awake in the morning. And as we age, our systems become more sensitive to these changes. Even a small decrease in activity can make a big difference in how rested or foggy you feel the next day. One man I worked with, Frank, 80, from Roanoke, Virginia, came to see me because he felt tired all the time and said he hadn't had a good night's sleep in over a year. He was widowed a few years back, lives alone, doesn't drive much anymore, and mostly spent his days in a recliner watching TV. He figured, I'm old, I've earned my rest. And while there's nothing wrong with rest, the lack of regular movement was making his body feel older than it needed to. We talked about options, and I could see he was nervous, said he was afraid of falling or hurting his knees. I suggested something simple, 2 10-minute walks a day, even if it's just pacing slowly up and down the hallway or around the yard, with a walker. He started by walking in circles around his kitchen during commercial breaks. A week later, he added some light stretches with the help of a chair. After 3 weeks, he told me, "Doc, I'm sleeping deeper, and I actually want to get out of bed in the morning again." I've seen the same change in others, like Mary, 74, from Oregon, who started tending to her small garden each morning and noticed that not only her sleep improved, but so did her mood and digestion. It's not about intensity, it's about rhythm, and movement creates rhythm. What often helps is committing to something small every day. 10 to 20 minutes of gentle movement, walking, stretching, light chores, can signal to your body that the day has begun and keep your internal clock ticking properly. If it's raining outside, walk indoors. If walking is hard, move while sitting. Lift your legs, roll your shoulders, twist gently from side to side. The key is consistency, not perfection. Your body may slow down, but it's not broken. It's wise. Movement is not about exercise routines or gyms. It's about reminding your body that it's still here, still part of life. Even the smallest steps count. And when they come from a place of self-care, they lead to better sleep, clearer mornings, and a softer mind. You don't have to change everything. Just start with one small movement and let your body thank you tomorrow. Another thing I often ask folks, especially those who tell me they feel tired even before breakfast, is how they start their morning. Most people don't give much thought to that part of the day, but it matters more than we think. If the first thing you do after waking up is rush into tasks, checking the news, answering phone calls, making breakfast for others, you're putting your body into stress mode before it even has a chance to catch up. As we age, our nervous system becomes more sensitive to that kind of abrupt start. The body needs a few quiet minutes to adjust from sleep to wakefulness, and when we skip that transition, it can affect our energy, mood, digestion, and even blood pressure throughout the rest of the day. I remember working with Margaret, who was 70 at the time and living in Columbus, Ohio. She was helping take care of her grandkids a few days a week, and she told me that most mornings she'd wake up already feeling anxious. She described it like a knot in her chest. She'd open her eyes and her mind would start racing with everything she needed to do, taking her medication, packing school lunches, replying to texts. She'd jump right into it without ever really feeling awake. I asked her if she had a moment for herself in the morning, not to get something done, but just to settle into the day. She laughed and said, "A moment for myself, not in years." So I challenged her. Take just 5 minutes before doing anything else. Sit by the window with a cup of tea and breathe. That's it. No phone, no TV, no multitasking. The next time we spoke, she told me those 5 minutes felt like an anchor. She said, "It's the only time of day that feels like mine." And interestingly, she noticed that her mornings became less chaotic, even when she had the same responsibilities. That short pause gave her a sense of control and clarity that changed the pace of her whole day. I've heard similar things from others, like Raymond, 73, in Arizona, who started writing one sentence in a notebook every morning about how he was feeling, and he said it made him more grounded and calm by lunchtime. One of the easiest ways to start your day on the right foot is to create a gentle morning ritual. It doesn't need to be long or complicated. 5 or 10 minutes is enough. Sit quietly, sip some water or tea, look outside, stretch your arms, or just breathe deeply. The key is to make space between sleep and activity, a moment that belongs only to you. That pause signals to your body and mind that you're transitioning into a new day with intention. You deserve a morning that starts with calm instead of chaos. Think of it like stepping into a warm bath before the noise of the day begins. Just you and the quiet. When you claim that space, even for a few minutes, the rest of your day will often meet you with more ease. You don't have to earn peace. You just have to allow it. Let me bring up another issue that's surprisingly common, especially among older adults, and that's sleeping on a worn-out pillow or mattress. Now, I understand the hesitation. Maybe you've had the same mattress for years, maybe even decades, and it feels familiar, or maybe the idea of shopping for a new one feels overwhelming or unnecessary. But what many people don't realize is that an unsupportive mattress or a flat, overused pillow can quietly cause a lot of the pain and tiredness you wake up with. As we get older, our joints and spine become more sensitive to pressure and alignment, and something as simple as a sagging bed or a lumpy pillow can put your neck or back in a bad position for hours every night, leading to stiffness, shoulder pain, morning headaches, or that awful feeling of waking up already exhausted. I had a patient named George. He was 76, living outside Tucson, Arizona, and he came in mainly for chronic pain in his shoulders and upper back. He assumed it was arthritis and said, "It's just what happens when you're old, right?" I asked him a few questions about his sleep, and he mentioned that his mattress was over 15 years old, and his pillow was probably older. He said he'd never really thought they made a difference, and besides, he didn't want to waste money on something that probably wouldn't help anyway. I asked him to do a test, try sleeping one night with a rolled-up towel under his neck and another under his knees, just to see if the support changed anything. The next morning, he told me he woke up with less pain. That small change got him thinking. A week later, his son surprised him with an orthopedic pillow. It took him a few nights to get used to it, but by the end of the week he looked at me and said, "I forgot what it felt like to wake up without aching all over." That one swap improved his sleep quality and made his mornings easier. I've had other patients, like Brenda, 72, in North Carolina, who replaced just their pillow and stopped waking up with neck pain they'd been blaming on age for years. Sometimes we don't realize how uncomfortable we are until we feel the difference. What often helps is starting with your pillow. A good pillow should keep your neck in line with your spine, not bent forward or sideways. If your pillow flattens easily or you wake up with neck stiffness, it's probably time to replace it. If your mattress is older than 8 to 10 years, take a good look. If you see visible dips, lumps, or if it feels uneven, it may be doing more harm than good. You don't need to spend a fortune, just look for something firm enough to support you but soft enough to feel comfortable. Even adding a foam topper can help. You deserve a night of sleep that doesn't leave you in pain. Think of your bed like a pair of shoes. You wouldn't wear the same worn-out shoes for 20 years and expect your feet to feel good, so why expect that of your back? A small change like a supportive pillow can lead to big relief, and you're absolutely worth that comfort. Now here's one that often flies under the radar, but makes a bigger difference than people expect. Forgetting or skipping evening medication or supplements. I've had so many older patients tell me they feel weak in the morning, or dizzy when they get out of bed, or like they didn't really rest during the night. And in many cases, after we look at their overall routine, the missing piece is something as simple as this: they didn't take the pills they were supposed to take before bed. Some medications, like those for blood pressure, certain types of magnesium, or even vitamin D, are designed to work overnight when your body is resting and repairing. Skipping them throws off the balance. It's like trying to cook a meal without turning on the stove. Everything's there, but nothing's working the way it should. And unfortunately, memory can become less reliable with age, especially in the evenings when we're already tired. And that's why people miss their doses without even realizing it. One person who comes to mind is Suzanne. She's 69, lives in Austin, Texas. When she first came in, her main complaint was poor sleep. She said she'd lie in bed for hours, restless, sometimes getting up 2 or 3 times a night, and then in the morning she felt like her legs were made of lead. We went through her medications, and it turned out she was prescribed a mild blood pressure pill and a magnesium supplement, both to be taken before bed, but she admitted she often forgot. Some nights she was too tired, some nights she'd fall asleep early, and some nights she just didn't feel like it made a difference. I told her, let's try something basic. We set an alarm on her phone for 8:30 p.m., and she placed a small box labeled "Night" right next to her lamp with the 2 pills and a bottle of water. 2 weeks later, she came back smiling. Her words were, "I feel more grounded in the mornings. My legs don't feel like tree trunks anymore." We didn't change her medications, just the habit of taking them consistently. That's the power of regularity. What often helps is creating a system that takes remembering out of the equation. One of the easiest ways is to use a small container or a pill organizer, label it clearly for night use, and keep it somewhere visible, like your nightstand. Pair it with a simple reminder, an alarm on your phone, a sticky note, or even a little ritual like brushing your teeth. The goal is to make it part of the routine so your brain doesn't have to work so hard to remember it. If it's easy and visible, it's more likely to happen, and that consistency is what makes the real difference. You don't have to do everything perfectly, just consistently. Your health is built from small daily choices, and those pills you take before bed might be doing more than you realize. Taking care of yourself isn't selfish. It's a quiet kind of strength, and you absolutely deserve to feel steady in the morning and at peace at night. If even one of these tips was helpful for you, let us know in the comments. Maybe you learned something new or you're ready to try a small change today. Subscribe to the channel and click the bell so you don't miss the next videos. We talk about important things in a simple way for you and your loved ones. You are not alone. You're stronger than you think. Your body and your spirit deserve care, and life and it keeps going as long as you're holding its hand.